So the Detroit Pistons face the Dallas Mavericks tonight, and it looks like they are about to kick down the door to a 40-win season. And I don't think any of us could have anticipated this type of a season last year. I don't think there's any way in the world. If you have, you are Nostradamus, and you need to give me some stock market picks. Because after only 14 wins, there is no way we saw being over 40 the very next season. But who could have anticipated the impact that JB Bickerstaff would have had? The steps forward that this team would take by just bringing in a few healthy veterans. This team has had a phenomenal year, and it has brought to mind that this team is entering into a new era of Detroit basketball. And I want to dive into that in this video. But before I do, this video is brought to you by Bridges and Stones Family and Relationship Care. You know, look, all of us need support, advice, direction, some wisdom, guidance to make it through life. Sometimes these things are more readily available in places like sports or even corporate America and on-the-job training and maybe mentorship from a senior advisor or somebody in management when you're trying to move up the corporate rung. Well, sometimes we also forget that our personal lives also need that guidance, also need that stability of wisdom and understanding of how to navigate situations and circumstances. Well, Bridges and Stones is a place where you could receive professional coaching and care. And if you drop the link or the name of this channel, you actually receive your first session completely free. So contact Bridges and Stones today for a free consultation and drop this channel and you will receive your first session for free. Remember, none of us make it alone. The link is in the description box below. You know, when I think about an era of basketball, I think about an extended period of time, not necessarily defined by championships, though I do think that this group will win at least one championship. However, sometimes an era is defined by the consistency of winning. And not just winning, but an excitement around the team, the organization, around the community, the city, that is able to get around a particular roster, a particular group of guys that resonate with the fans, with the environment, and it inspires fans to come out. It inspires fandom, period. People become fans of a team during a particular era. You know, when I think about different eras, I think about the New York Knicks and the Patrick Ewing era, right? That had its ebbs and flows from Charles Oakley and Anthony Mason all the way through Marcus Camby and Latrell Sprewell. 2 NBA Finals appearances. They didn't win one, but that was a hell of an era. No one forgets about John Starks or Allen Houston, right? These guys are still around to this day and revered by fans, right? Then you think about other teams like the grit and grind Grizzlies. Never won a championship. But those Marc Gasol and Zach Randolph and Tony Allen eras and times of play, man, it was exciting basketball. The competition in the playoffs, the intensity, you always felt like they had a shot. And then you look at, let's say, the Golden State Warriors, Run TMC, Chris Mullin, Tim Hardaway Jr., Tim Hardaway Sr., and Mitch Richmond, right? And they were complemented by guys like Chris Gadling, Billy Owens, and such and so forth. But these are some talented teams that galvanized the community. And they were so exciting to watch because every year you knew they were going to be in the playoffs. Every year you knew they were going to be competitive. They could beat just about anybody on any given night. And you knew the product that you were going to see on the court. Most importantly, you knew the product you were going to see on the court. There was a culture. They were going to compete, and they were going to do a whole lot of winning. Now, the big difference between those eras and, let's say, the Tim Duncan era, where he never won less than 50 games throughout his entire span with the San Antonio Spurs. That's an incredible era. Now, they got, 4 rings out of that? 5? I can't remember. A whole lot of rings. They won a lot throughout that era. You have the Golden State Warriors with the Stephen Curry era, right? 4 rings. An incredible run. incredible run. Los Angeles Lakers, right? They got Boston Celtics, right? But these eras define a franchise for their foreseeable future. Long past when the players have either gone on to other organizations or retired, they come back and they are beloved. I think this is the start of an era, starting with Cade Cunningham. Similar to the Detroit Bad Boys, right? You have Isaiah Thomas. He was at the core of that. And how he played, his ability to perform, was the reason why everybody kind of said, you know what, we have a shot against anyone. But it wasn't just him. You had Joe Dumars, and you had the Microwave, and Dennis Rodman, and John Sally, and you had Bill Laimbeer, and Rick Mahorn, and you had this collaboration of the right pieces of guys who came and played significant roles and allowed this team to excel. What I see from this Detroit Pistons with Cade Cunningham, Jaden Ivey, Asar Thompson, Jalen Duren, these guys are about to form a core of players by the end of this season and going into next season that I don't think, as long as they have at least 3 of them, really as long as they have, let's say, 2 out of the 3 of Cade, Ivey, and Asar Thompson, they're going to win 40-plus games every season. I just don't see the regression. I simply don't. I think with all 3, it's a 50-plus win season, if not knocking on 55. And it's not just because this core is so talented and so young and full of upside and promise. You have to remember, Jaden Ivey was hitting game-winning shots throughout this season. Not just game-winning shots, but he was only getting better and better and better and better. His three-point shooting got over 40% for the year, shooting 46% from the field. He was efficient. He was reliable, consistent, absolutely explosive, and at times dominant, taking over games when Cade would have a slow start, bringing the team home and across the finish line with game-winning shots against the Raptors and the Sacramento Kings. He showed he had a knack for the moment. Cade Cunningham has done the same throughout this entire season. And Asar Thompson, God, watching him, you just see such a ball of talent that only seems to get better and better and better and better. When we think about what this core team is, and don't even get me started on Jalen Duren and all his upside and how he just continues to progress, he's just scratching the surface. But it's not just about how talented this core is, it's also about the landscape of the league. A lot of these veteran dominant teams are tailoring off. Philadelphia 76ers with Joel Embiid is tailoring off. With Paul George is tailoring off. The Milwaukee Bucks, I don't see Damian Lillard getting better on the wrong side of 30 when it comes to sports performance. You look at the Boston Celtics, okay, they should stay strong, but you think about Kristaps Porzingis' health. You think about Al Horford knocking on 40. You think about guys like Drew Holiday getting into his upper 30s. The core may not be around much longer, and these are pivotal pieces for these organizations. You look at the New York Knicks, well, they'll probably still be there. But you look at some of these other teams even in the Western Conference. The Phoenix Suns are already falling off with Kevin Durant. Los Angeles Lakers, God knows how long LeBron is going to keep it going. Kudos to him. Every single year, he's still averaging over 20 points a game. God. But Stephen Curry, who recently, prayers up for him. Hopefully his back is all right after last night's game against the Raptors. But he's on the wrong side of 30 as well. And you look at Draymond Green and Jimmy Butler. You look at all these different guys and you begin to recognize that, you know what? This landscape might be clearing out for the Detroit Pistons. Yeah, you're going to have Indiana and Cleveland right there as well. But after Cleveland, is there anybody that's really that much better? Definitively. Considering the way that the Detroit Pistons have been able to handle the New York Knicks without all 3 of their top trio of guys playing at a high level and even healthy, they've been able to handle the Knicks. They've been able to beat the Pacers. They've been able to beat just about anybody and everybody else. I don't see this slowing down. When I think about the ceiling of this team, they are only going to get better. The Knicks are not going to get better. Let's be clear about that. None of those guys are going to become a new iteration of themselves. There's no next steps for them. Jalen Brunson is going to be Jalen Brunson. Who that team is, Mikal Bridges, Josh Hart, and OG Anunoby, those guys are going to be who they've always been, and they'll be good. This Detroit Pistons team is scratching the surface, and they're already kicking through 40 wins without their second star, who looks like, I believe, has the potential to become a superstar. I liken him to Russell Westbrook with the jump shot. So when we start thinking about the outlook of this team and that they're already at 40 wins with another 12, 13, 14 games to go, we have to start thinking about, what do we want to call this era? And that's kind of a cool thing to start thinking about. What do we want to call this team? I don't know yet. I don't know. I'm sure somebody will come up with a great moniker and we'll all jump on it and rally around it. But I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Just like I was here for the other eras that maybe didn't last as long with Grant Hill. All right. Maybe was too short-lived with Chauncey Billups and Rip Hamilton and Tayshaun Prince, Rasheed Wallace, Ben Wallace, Lindsey Hunter, those guys, Corliss Williamson. Great eras, short for whatever time period they were available in there. Of course, they got formed, right, over 30. But when I look at this team, Cade Cunningham's 23. Jaden Ivey's 22. Jalen Duren's 21. Asar Thompson's 22. These guys are about to have a run. An absolute run. And when you think about guys like Asar Thompson, you look at the previous game and has this beautiful turnaround jump shot. It was just off, but you're like, ooh, oh, that could be money. That could be beautiful. You look at the lobs, you look at the transition, you look at the defensive potential, you look at Jalen Duren attacking opposing bigs and getting to the free throw line at will and getting to the rim at will and posing his will. And you begin to see Cade Cunningham take over games and hit game winners. And you see the system operating and flowing. And you're just like, damn, this is only going to get better. Imagine Jaden Ivey and Tim Hardaway Jr.'s position, getting 30-plus minutes a game, averaging 22 to 25 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, maybe a couple steals. Cade Cunningham, 25 points, 6 rebounds, 6-7 assists. Asar Thompson, right? Another Scottie Pippen, 5 to 6 assists, 5 to 6 rebounds, 18 to 20 points a game. Jalen Duren, double-double machine, 18 and 12. Right? All of a sudden now you begin to see like, well, who's stopping this? Who's slowing it down? I don't know. But I do know that I'm here for all of it. Because it's going to be good for a long time. Now, I also want to shout out to the bench mob. Ron Holland had a great game last game. I wish he could have got more minutes because my man was rolling. Shot 3 or 4 from the field. Was able to get to the rim at will. Even showed a little step back mid-range game. I told you he had a little bit of a bag. And then you see guys like Marcus Sasser, who whenever he gets minutes, the boy just produces. Bobby Klintman, man, go check out his Summer League highlights. Tolu Smith, go check out his G League's highlights. Those two look like they're going to be perfect complementary players. And then, of course, Isaiah Stewart. This team is about to have a run. A run. Now, I'm going to get into some draft stuff later. But for now, what do y'all want to call this era of the Detroit Pistons? What do you think they're going to be called? Holler at me in the comment section. If you got to the end of the video, put a little basketball icon. I'm going to get to your comment first, and I'm going to get at y'all next time. Once again, it's your man, 100 Grand Ross with The Rock Never Stops. Get at me. Peace.